Thank you for joining us today. Don't forget to keep liking, sharing, and subscribing. Where were you when not Buhari northernized every position in Nigeria? Lawyer Mike Ozekome tackled Nigerians, accusing President Tinubu of employing only Yorubas in his government. Where were you when Buhari was northernizing Nigeria? Rights activist and senior advocate of Nigeria, Mike Ozekome, has said that former President Muhammadu Buhari should be blamed for the perceived preference of his successor, Bola Tinubu, to appoint persons from his ethnic Yoruba language group into key positions of government. Ozekome said this while speaking at a symposium on human rights organized by the International Human Rights Commission IHRC held in Abuja on Wednesday, December 11. He said it was not surprising that such a trajectory is being followed by President Tinubu since it was tolerated by Nigerians when Buhari was at the helm of affairs. When I hear today the Northerners complain that Tinubu has Yorubanized Nigeria with so many Yorubas in the highest places in Nigeria, it's true they are making a point, but the question I will ask is, where were you when Buhari, for 8 years, literally northernized every position in Nigeria? You were either a northerner or a Muslim. I cried, I cried, I wrote and wrote. I wrote tons of articles. One of the 50 books which I presented on my 67th birthday was titled How Buhari Mismanaged Nigeria. Some people called it Nawiwi. This is our man. And even if he is riding roughshod over all of us, it doesn't matter. Hear no evil, see no evil, because he is our man, even if it is not benefiting us. The fact that he is our man is sufficient. Once it is no longer our man, we must also take up arms. No country grows like that, he said. Wonders shall never end. Nigeria of today, it's becoming so difficult for us to see ourselves first as Nigerians before we see ourselves as ethnic groups or ethnic nationalities. And that has been the order of the day. But then there are different schools of thoughts to this kind of discourse. So, for example, Ewole Soyinka said the other time that he doesn't care whether the president is from one village and the vice president is from the same village, as long as they are making things right for Nigerians, fair and square, as long as they are delivering fair and square. And the same thing also plays here. I think we need to really put being Nigerian first before we begin to see with our myopic or binocular of a prism of ethnic nationality or ethnic bigotry or religious affiliation. We need to see ourselves as Nigerians first, and then anybody who can do the job should be put in place. That's just the reality. A round peg in a round hole, a square peg in a square hole. As long as the person can deliver, if everybody in the cabinet will come from one angle, as far as they can deliver, let them deliver. That is what is important as far as Nigeria is concerned at the point we are. But it seems as if we are yet to get to that point. And that's why the second issue comes in, like the one that Chief Mike Ozekume is raising here, that as at the present Nigeria, coming down from regionalism, we are still looking at ourselves with the regional tendency prism, the binocular of the region, that everything must be done based on tribe or religion or region. We must give quotas, using quota system to do everything. The constitution is clear anyway. As you know, says some things about sharing of such things, like one minister each from all the states of the country and things like that. Yes, the constitution is clear about that, but the constitution is trying to focus on equality, focusing on equity focusing on egalitarianism and justice. That's what the constitution is trying to focus on, and we are not going to put that aside. Then, for those who are now saying the current president is Yorubanizing Nigeria, of course, they should also look at it from two perspectives. Is it true or not? Number one, the reality remains that when Buhari was in power and he decided to keep putting a northerner in power, he should remember that those who are ripe for the position, the way civil service is structured, will still remain in the system. And now, oftentimes when I read when Tinubu, the current president, puts anybody in power, the reporter will also report that he's the most senior director or the most senior secretary or the most senior whatever in that ministry, and that's the person they will push in to keep acting for the time being. The person might later become the substantive, probably permanent secretary or director or the DG, but I have been following him that anytime there is a vacancy, to the best of my knowledge, most of the people he puts there are the next in line. But funny enough, does it now mean that it is only Yorubas that are next in line? Those are questions I may be looking answers for, because if they keep saying that person is the oldest ranking official, the oldest ranking director, and is the one to take the acting capacity until they find a replacement, and at the end of the day he is made a substantive leader, but then fortunately or unfortunately, based on the argument of Michael Zekome, is a Yoruba person, and then we begin to discuss this issue. That's an aspect that we are still thinking and looking at it, that is it all the time that the highest ranking person that is around anytime there is a vacant chief executive position is always a Yoruba person? Well, it may be so, it may not be so, because of what Buhari and all other government have been doing for quite a while. Northerners have been filling the position for quite a while. That is looking at this thing from the purview of region or tribalism or religion. But then there is need for the president to be cautious too. He has to balance everything, since our blood for now can is not fully nationalized. We still have our tribe within, we still have our region within, we still have our blood within. So the president should look into that and make sure everything is balanced. But then I must also say this: if the person that he could lay hands upon at that point in time, they happen to come from a particular area, and if they can do the job, they should go ahead. Who cares? Let them deliver, so that Nigeria could be a better place for all of us. That should be number one before we now begin to look at where is it from, which region, which tribe. God bless Nigeria.